Thank you so much for joining me today. If you and your spouse are currently living apart from each other and they are currently overseas, it is completely understandable why you would want them to reunite with you here in Canada. There are many Canadian citizens and permanent residents in Canada that have spouses that are foreign nationals. Specifically, there are a lot of spouses that currently live in the United States. In order to sponsor them to Canada, the process would be called an overseas spousal sponsorship. Therefore, in this video, I will explain who is eligible to sponsor their spouse to Canada, what an overseas spousal sponsorship entails, and much more. The most important factor to determine before applying for an overseas spousal sponsorship application is whether the sponsor is eligible to sponsor. You may be eligible to sponsor your spouse if you are a Canadian citizen, a permanent resident of Canada, or a registered Indian in Canada, at least 18 years of age, currently living within Canada, and are able to prove that you have sufficient funds to support your spouse and any dependent children while they are in Canada. It is important to note that if you are a Canadian citizen that is currently living outside of Canada, you must have the intention to live within Canada with your spouse once they gain permanent residency. Additionally, if you are a permanent resident that is living outside of Canada, unfortunately you will not be able to sponsor your spouse to Canada. In order to sponsor your spouse as a permanent resident of Canada, you must live within Canada in order to do so. You must reside within Canada before and during the application process. The overseas spousal sponsorship application is meant for any spouses that are currently living outside of Canada. However, it is important to note that any spouses that are currently living within Canada may also apply for an overseas spousal sponsorship. The reasoning behind this is for the sponsored applicant to be able to travel within and outside of Canada during the application process. Specifically for overseas spousal sponsorships, these applications are solely processed through the visa office that they apply to, whether it would be the applicant's country of origin or the country of residence that they have lived for at least 1 year. One disadvantage of the overseas spousal sponsorship application is that while the application is being processed, unfortunately the sponsored applicant will have difficulties living with the sponsor. However, a solution to this problem would be the sponsored applicant applying for a temporary resident visa in order to visit Canada during the application process. It is important to note that the temporary resident visa is not guaranteed and is entirely up to the immigration officer whether it is approved or denied. Luckily, the processing times for overseas spousal sponsorships have actually become the same as inland spousal sponsorships. In December of 2016, the Canadian government has actually stated that the processing times for overseas spousal sponsorships are about 12 months, which is 1 year. It is essential that you have taken into consideration all of the aforementioned information before applying for an overseas spousal sponsorship. Here at Akrami & Associates, we have dealt with many different immigration matters, and we have helped many of our clients reunite with their spouses here in Canada permanently. If you believe that you would be eligible to apply for an overseas spousal sponsorship, please feel free to contact us. With Akrami & Associates, there's always a way.